MFCS is finally out. About time, yeah, I know. And today I'm just going to be showing how to wire it up, basically. I'm not going to go over all the features because I kind of have over the past 1 year and 2 months, and nothing has really changed. Other than the CCTV cameras, those are gone. I'm going to put those in a separate chip. Now I should remind you that this is Starfall. I know that's obvious, however, not every server is going to have Starfall. Oh, and by the way, I was the one who coded this, so maybe there's a reason to give this one a pass, since I have sort of a reputation, it seems. But if you're okay with all those things, or you're just curious, let us proceed. Alright, so here we go. We got Starfall Editor open, and I'm missing my MFCS. So let's go grab it. Go on to GitHub here, and our entry point is actually an interface. So 2 interfaces to pick from. We're gonna leave basic alone. But you could download all the stuff and stick it in your Starfall folder. We're gonna do it like this though. Hit this copy button, go back to GMOD, and Control A, Control V. There we go. We have our MFCS. And we can go ahead and save it. I think saving it will... Yep, there we go, interfaces. So because I have it set up like this, it's going to automatically make a folder because it's a directory. It has a little slash in it. Anyway, we have the MFCS. Let's spawn the MFCS. My MFCS appears to be broken. Something about core. Strange. Okay. Go back to the GitHub. So the core is going to be, yep, right here. Under the just MFCS folder. There's 3 of them. Copy. Open a new tab. Paste and save. So now we can see, I'm just gonna leave this open. In that MFCS folder now, there's the core. So we should be good now. Camera module. Okay. And let's spare you the details. But we are going to need the camera, computer, and graphic module. So I'm just gonna copy all these. You can go here. Alright. Control S. Control S. Control S. So now we should see, yeah, we got our camera, computer, core, and graphic module. Is this enough to spawn the MFCS? No, because we need a content chip. In particular, we need the content default chip. Content chips are interesting, but we're just going to use the, again, default one. These other things you can make and such. So once again, we're just going to Control V. And yeah, this is quite a big one. Anyway. Can I spawn the MFCS now? Let's see. I can. Nice. So, setup is a bit obnoxious. I can actually bring this back to Gmod. There we go. Setup is a bit obnoxious, but you only have to do it one time. Or if ever you need to update your chip or retrieve it after something went horribly wrong. This is kind of a gotcha, if you know how the chip works. However, I'm going to show you how to wire the chip. At least in this configuration. Yeah. A few asterisks. Anyway, chair goes to chair. W120. That's what I named my gun input, so 120mm gun. Base plate. Probably the base plate. Turret ring. Turret ring entity. Hull reference. That just goes to the base plate. Turret reference. Turret ring. Engine RPM. Okay, RPM on the engine. Fuel. This is going to go to the capacity on your fuel tanks. I have 2 fuel tanks, so I have both of those going through A and B on an add gate. So wire it to the gate. Speed. One of you output speed, right? There we go. Oops. Gear. I want to use this one. And gear locked. Let me use this one. So from here down, my content chip made those inputs. And even these inputs right here, MFCS made these after I gave it a name. So technically the only standard input here is the chair. This is what I mean when it's kind of a gotcha. Anyway, we have things that can go to MFCS. So I have an aiming chip, or if you want to use ACF3 turret entities, aim pose. Where does that go? Well, we have, in this case, 3 options. 2 standard ones aim pose and hit pose. However, because MFCS does ballistics basically the same way CFCS does, I'm going to wire it to the W120 underscore aim pose. So it does ballistics for me and all that. Now as far as other things we have, if I look at the chip real quick, okay, HE, because I have one ammo type, I'm gonna wire load up both of these crates to W120 HE. Refresh the chip, get in and see what happens. I'm just waiting for that client to pick up because that's building the ballistic table. Here we go. Everything appears to be working. This explosion's pretty big, I don't want to shoot myself. So yeah, let's just see. Laser ranging by default. There we go. Alright, let's go through some settings, shall we? So, the nice thing about Starfall is some of these things are collapsible. So, let's start with the camera settings function. So, don't touch all this stuff. And we have some settings here, and you can see where it starts and ends. So, there's a few descriptions here and sort of like a mini tutorial. So let's just get straight into it. Remember how I was talking about MFCS making inputs for me? Well, this is how you add a view. So you can see add view. The first thing is the name of the input, and the second thing is the camera tag. That'll come in later. But you can see I have 3 cameras, one on my baseplate that is third person, one on my turret ring that is labeled commander, and one for my primary optic that is labeled primary sight that is also on the turret ring. So you can have cameras share an entity. So let's make another one. I'm just going to start by duplicating this one. It's going to be relative to the gun, and we're going to call this, it doesn't matter because nothing is going to reference this. Origin is going to be just above the gun. I'm pretty sure the gun is like aligned by default. 1 magnification step, and the camera will not be able to move other than to look around with only the cursor. So the camera's like slave to the gun. Let's see what that looks like. Alright, so we get in. We start in third person, commander view, primary optic, so this one has a little bit of movement on the sight. And then we go in. So you can see all my other heads up elements have, well, quite a few have despawned because nothing is referencing this. But still able to aim, and a few of my indicators are on everything, which is why they show up here. But yeah, there we go, simple as. Alright, also in MFCS there is an option for, well, several options for range finding. So the rangefinder I was just using, I actually need this open, what am I doing? Was the laser rangefinder, so you can see laser ranging is true. However, if you want to use the optical rangefinder, well, we'll set this to false. And I'm in the computer settings, by the way. I know I'm jumping all over the place. To use optical rangefinder, we have to set optical rangefinder equals to true. We also need to set up a perspective for optical rangefinding. So back in the camera, so that's how we add a view. This is how we add a rangefinder, where there can only be one rangefinder. And you'll notice it's very similar, except instead of add view, it's add rangefinder. We do not tag this, it's automatically tagged as rangefinder. So we only need to put the entity it's going to be on top of. Alignment, okay, magnification, whatever, limits. The important thing is the left and right. This is where the 2 mirrors or sights are going to be for the rangefinder. And I already have mine set up, so I guess we don't have to do that live. However, with the optical ranging set to true and the laser rangefinding off, let's do some range finding. Yeah, there we go. Nice. So there's laser rangefinding, there's optical rangefinding, there's technically a third mode too, which is just manual guessing. So we set optical ranging to false in the computer, regardless of whether I've specified a view or not. So if I go in the primary sight, if you look at the range indicator there, if I right click, nothing happens. However, now I can change the range down there, and you can see my sight moves to account for the parallax and the ballistic offset. I now have the guts of another tank that you may or may not recognize. And I feel like a common thing people would like to do is, will have more than one gun and have HUD elements for that gun. So here we have a main gun 120, and we also have a little RWS up here. So how can we accommodate? Let's see. So armaments are just like camera perspectives. This is how you add system, make 120. You can specify munitions. Camera tags are interesting because they specify where you'll be able to switch ammunition and all of that. I think you can just set this to all if you want to be able to switch at all time, but just in case you have a key conflict. So yeah, we have one system, 120, okay. We then have another system, W30, for this particular vehicle. And you can see I only have one ammo type, so I'm not bothering with the key to set it. So key.none. And I'm starting with AP selected. Indeed, if I look at my chip, you can see it has made more inputs. So W120, W30. And with everything being wired up and specified, I'm actually looking to the RWS right now. And I can get ammo counts, loading indicators, and whatnot from it. And I still have access to my primary gun. I get different information about it. When it comes to graphics in MFCS, it's kind of the Wild West. So, the only standard things you get is something called a quota ratio and a rangefinder scale. But everything to the end of the chip, effectively, it's kind of like Schrodinger's cat. However, if you like to use the default content chip, there's some functions you can expect. And it's up to, I suppose, whoever wrote the content chip to properly describe what you will be getting. So, I have a few functions in here. So I guess I can go through them. Initialize. Okay, there's a few static settings because I'm doing something weird with texture atlasing. But yeah, we can see add cursor. Okay, add tracker, which I actually didn't show. But the track is kind of fun. Go site. Okay, primary site. Yeah, secondary site. Scope effects. Tank icon. Weapon panel. I'm not gonna read all these off. Profiler, something you probably shouldn't use, and a fun little debug function. So, in all of these, for default, I have a thing where you can just basically copy paste to get something going and play with the settings as you see fit. And also all of these, you can see take in camera tags as well as the settings. So I'm able to use the settings that I'm getting from the content chip and put those graphics depending on which camera's perspective I'm in. So you can see all, you can see primary sight, you can see third person commander and rangefinder, for example. But again, it's really up to whoever made the content chip, whatever it does. You can see also in the content chip, I have made those aforementioned inputs, so whole reference, third reference, and so on. So I showed the default content chip, which, well, probably should have more functions and be a little bit flashier, but... So yeah, anyway, here's a basic one, and the default content chip is kind of long, so you can see, yep, 1090 lines. And it's doing a bunch of weird stuff, like I said, texture atlasing and whatnot. The basic chip isn't really meant for use. You can use it if you really want to, it's kind of ugly looking. But this one is not doing anything too weird. It's just using, for the most part, things provided by MFCS and not doing weird texture atlasing. So this is more for people who want to try making their own, which is probably going to be just me. I don't think anyone's going to be really using these. But I guess I can show you around the basic content chip. And the way I've set this up is that I can swap both of these onto the test tank. And I do really recommend, if you change anything in your interface, give it a different name and save it as something else, because of the way saving in Starfall works. But let's see. So you can see my cursor has changed a little bit. And all of my graphics have changed. I still keep the scope effect because I almost call it a cope effect. Yeah, you can see just a basic little UI elements. This is also laser rangefinding, okay. And I think I want to show you the tracker. So if I track this, you can see, yep, that's what the tracker looks like. It just goes to wherever U-lock when you use the tracking camera mode. And in this case I have a little spinning square, so that's kind of fun. Gentlemen, that is all. So I can finally go ahead and finish my other tanks that I built, which have, let's see, 1, 2, I believe it's 3 tanks, including this one. So not a whole lot of tanks though. 2 of those were built pretty close to each other actually. Anyway, I should have remembered how I felt about releasing CFCS, that I really did not like the final stages of bug fixing and making sure everything now works. Actually works. And I did bug test this one quite a bit. There is almost certainly going to be bugs somewhere. I've been finding them when I thought I fixed them all right before recording this, so let me know what fun bugs you find, and I'll endeavor to fix them. Although some of them are super cryptic, and I blame Starfall. Anyway, that's gonna be it. I'm going to try to avoid these long, complicated projects, or learning a new programming language and ending up making another HUD. But no promises, because I played GMOD after all, so something's wrong with me. Anyway, see you around.